Let's welcome everyone to Sunday Sentiments.
Of course, this is a hate crime.
And if she's found guilty, then she has to face the consequences.
They normally end up killing some particular kinds of people.
It's a violation of human rights.
That's a very traumatic event.
So I just wanted to ask the panel about their own opinions on this topic.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Sentiments. Sunday Sentiments is a segment where a panel comes together and discusses hot topics and current events from all over the world. Please do be aware, though, that the views that are shared on the panel by everybody here do not reflect the views of Four Wings. These are everyone's personal opinions that they've decided to share today. And I'll be handing it over to my host, Keshi.
Thank you, Shakira. The next topic is about menopause and HRT. And it's a different topic from the previous one. And this is a topic, we are a panel of women, so I guess it resonates with many of us. And if you're young and you think that this is not for me, there's also something called early menopause that could also affect you. So stay tuned and let's have this discussion. So just as, to summarize, menopause is when a woman stops having her periods and is no longer able to get pregnant naturally. I got this information from the NHS website. And the periods usually become less frequent over months or years, and then they stop altogether. And sometimes they can stop suddenly. And it is a natural part of aging that occurs between the ages of 45 and 55. And that's when a woman's estrogen levels decline. In the UK, the average age for a woman to reach menopause is 51. I don't know what worldwide it is. And we're talking about the UK because at the moment, there is a crisis regarding this issue because many women who are menopausal are on a treatment called HRT. And this is a hormone replacement treatment that relieves the symptoms of menopause, which can be brain fog, hot flashes, night sweats, low mood and anxiety, difficulty in sleeping, low libido, or severe, and so on. Sorry, that was Danish. So of late in the UK, there has been the problem of accessing this treatment, and when many women are left helpless. So I wanted to hear from this panel of women, what are your experiences, if you have experienced menopause, and what do you think about this issue where there are problems with accessing this drug in the UK? This big crisis that is there right now, because according to news, 1 million women in the UK use this HRT treatment. Anyone who has something to say?
Okay, well, when I reached menopause, my gynecologist suggested hormones. And I declined, but then I started taking some herbal, I think it's herbal, treatment for menopause, but that also didn't work for me because I started having bad stomach aches. And so I stopped taking anything altogether. I was taking them for the hot flashes and I would have migraines and all, but because of taking them, the stomach aches were worse. Actually, I didn't even know what was wrong. I started going to the doctor, complaining of stomachache. I went to the gynecologist. Then eventually I decided, let me stop this medication that I'm taking. When I stopped, the stomach aches and the upset stomach stopped. So, but I guess each person is different. So I wouldn't say because it didn't work for me, it didn't work for another one. But that's just my experience.
Thank you, Nemo. For myself, I did experience I still experience severe hot flashes, especially at night, and night sweats and so on. But I have never actually thought of getting a drug or a treatment to help me, a hormone treatment. I don't know why. Maybe it's how we women just think, oh, it's menopause, it will end. And then you don't know your options, actually. You don't know your options. You don't know that your symptoms can be relieved, or maybe you don't want to make it a big issue. You don't want to go to your doctor because, especially if your doctor is a man, you don't want to go and tell him these things. So that's my experience with it, that I have not sought any treatment for any of the symptoms, because I'm just thinking these are natural symptoms. Anyone else? Yes, Catherine?
I'm lucky I haven't got any of these symptoms, but I think it's what you're saying. It's also information. Women know how to suffer. You know, we're having babies. We often suffer in silence, and because this therapy, and I mean in England they could now call it a luxury therapy. A lot don't even know about it, and because you're saying we're talking about the situation in England, because in England when you've got something you have to go to the GP first, and the GP is a bit of a gatekeeper. So if you don't have a great GP, they might not take the time to either refer you to a specialist or to actually inform you of all your options, and they will just let you suffer in silence, or tell you if you're not feeling well, usually take some paracetamol. That is always the first option. And I think, Nemo, you're in Germany, and that's already different. Like if in Germany you go for your pap smear and your cancer checks, you go straight to the gynecologist. Whereas in England, you just go and see the health nurse, and she'll do it. The health nurse will just do the treatment, the pap smear or whatever is, but she wouldn't go any further. Whereas when you're in Germany, you're at the gynecologist, and the gynecologist will most likely, depending if it's a good gynecologist, and they will ask you questions based on your age, based on your symptoms, and you're probably more likely to get informed about your options. And then it's up to the woman to choose an HRT therapy, or maybe, because there are some links with cancer, and some women might not want. It depends on your symptoms and how much you suffer. But I do think it's I don't know if there is an issue, if it's considered a luxury drug in Germany, but I just think part of the issue in England, apart from the shortages that we're now experiencing, is also the system, and how the GPs turn into gatekeepers, and might not refer a woman that definitely needs to get more information and needs to be treated.
Thank you, Catherine. Yeah. Here in Denmark, it used to be the same, that the GP was a gatekeeper between the special doctors, but it changed so that I can call, if I feel I need to see a gynecologist, I can call the gynecologist directly. I don't need a referral. But when we get these tests that we get, pap smears every 2 years, or when you reach over 50, you get them after 5 years or something. Anyway, because your reproductive age is slowing down. So the doctor, you have to say to the doctor yourself that this and this. And I don't know, for me, I have, maybe I am not observant. Maybe next time I go to my doctor, I should see if there are leaflets about these HRT treatments, because I do avoid going to the doctor. And this is what many women do. You avoid, or you don't mention it, or you don't do anything about it. And then you just remain without information about the options that you have, and that these symptoms can have treatments. So I put up my hand and say I'm one of those women who has been ignorant, in quotes, about my options. Thank you. Shiko?
Yeah, I think sometimes women, we are our own worst enemy in terms of minimizing our experiences. But also, I mean, also just in general, women's experiences, you're just meant to just put up with it, like it's dismissed, like it's not so bad. But maybe, I don't know, it's chicken and egg. I don't know which came first. If it's us minimizing it that led to issues being dismissed, or if it's, I don't know. But I think more women need to start talking about the impact of these things on their bodies. I read a newspaper article about this HRT treatment that said a lot of the women who were on this treatment were left feeling suicidal, severely depressed, and just because of all those hormonal changes, like physical illness, just so bad that they couldn't even go to work. But of course, if you tell your boss, I'm not coming to work because of this, it's seen as what's wrong with you? Just get on with it. And that's not fair, because these are actual really severe symptoms. And I would like to see like any man go through these things and say, just get on with it. You know, the hot flashes, the migraines, and all those other symptoms of, yeah, I hope they'll have developed a treatment that does not have cancer risks. Or maybe I'll try Nemo's natural alternatives. And yeah, I just hope I won't have symptoms as bad as some of the women that I've read about.
Thank you, Shiko.
Sorry, can I just, so the natural, exactly, I mean, this is also the point, how much studies actually exist, because there might be natural options, but from what my research, you know, they just haven't been checked. So either women not being told about their options because of the system, the healthcare system, or they don't know about any alternative options because it's not a big issue and it hasn't got enough funding to actually have proper research about it. Shakira, you had your hand up.
That's true. Shakira, yeah, thank you. Then Shakira.
Yeah, I just had two things to say. First, it was about, what was it? Shiko mentioned that, oh my God, I'm just forgetting all these things. Like the women's pains and stuff are just like minimizing stuff. You're not sure if it's the women who like minimize it themselves or it was just minimized in general. But I just wanted to point out that, remember that women with mental illnesses were given lobotomies because you're just crazy. You can't be sad. That kind of stuff is, you're just remembering, if you look at through history, anything that women have been through has been minimized into like, you're just being dramatic and stuff like that, even though women in several like studies have been known, and just in general, also by common knowledge, women are known to have generally a higher pain tolerance than men because of all the stuff that they have to go through. Because men will like to, like, at least for people in my generation or millennials, like to compare being kicked in between the legs to childbirth. Somehow they think that that comparison, being split open, is the same as just being kicked. Somehow that makes sense in a lot of people's minds. But also to, I think it was actually several of you mentioned it, that you're not sure, that it's not been talked about a lot. For me, exactly, like we only had one healthcare, like sexual healthcare class, and we learned nothing about women. All we were like, the only thing I remember from that class, and it was at a government building, we were taken there, was literally a styrofoam male anatomy that we just learned how to put on condoms. That's it. But they didn't teach us anything about women's reproductive health. They gave us condoms in a handful, but didn't give us tampons or pads, that kind of stuff. It's very clear that they don't care about women's reproductive health. You just got to figure that out yourself. Like for me personally, like I'm obviously not in menopause age, but when I hit puberty, I had to figure everything out myself because you're not taught any of these things in school at all. The teachers are just hush-hush about it. So are any nurses that you really like have to talk to when you're younger. And you have to end up figuring everything out online from the people that you watch, like on their YouTube channels, their social medias and stuff. They might tell you about it because generally it's just swept under. You're just supposed to figure it out yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Shakira. It's nice to get a perspective from our younger ones, our younger panelists. And yeah, it is true that there's this kind of sweep it under the carpet, anything to do with women's reproductive health. And as you can see, it's not just you who is clueless. Some of us also at the age where we are experiencing menopause still have to Google. Actually, now what I have decided for myself is I'm going to Google and do research of what is done here in Denmark, what treatments are offered. Are they offered to women generally, or is there a proviso that you have to do this and that in order to get that? So I think this was a good, somebody brought this subject up in our, one of our WhatsApp groups, and I think it's good because we can learn something from it. Imani, I saw your hand up.
It was just to what Shakira said, that even I can relate. Of course, I can relate to the menopause thing, but I agree with that when it comes to women's productive system and our mental health, is always there's less information about it. People do less research about it. Like even when it comes to sickness and stuff, people don't know much about a woman's body. And I not long ago I actually read that at one time the word hysteria comes from men calling women who has opinions or like have mental problems. They would call it hysteria because it was seen as a problem, and now that is a negative word that's associated with women.
Thank you, Imani. So we can say from the panel that unless they would be lobotomized, yes, and then they would be, yeah, that's true, lobotomized, yeah. So yes, Shiko?
I was saying it's so interesting that Imani has talked about the hysteria, because I did come across exactly the same information, because I was researching about a mental health disorder called histrionic personality disorder. And apparently the root of this disorder is from the hysteria, which is something that a lot of women were diagnosed with if they had opinions, or if they just spoke out, or if they got angry just about valid things. They were sorry?
Or even just being sexual, like having sexual desire, which people didn't expect a woman could have, because women can't enjoy that according to some people.
Yeah, so Imani, so it's interesting that psychologists are trying to also remove this mental disorder as a recognized one, because apparently a lot of the time, almost over 90% of the time, the people that are diagnosed with this disorder are women, because it's just women are dramatic, and if you're overly dramatic, then you're told, it's part of this hysteria definition, which it's ridiculous. I also wanted to say about menopause, HRT, and other alternatives to treatments to menopause. It's disappointing that there hasn't been more research into different alternatives and alternatives that don't have cancer risks. It's a shame because a lot of the time, women's issues are put last when it comes to this kind of research. And when you have, I'm not going to go a lot into this, but when you have equality just come under one umbrella, along with like women's equality, gender equality, blah, 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 racial equality, it's just all put under one umbrella. It's very hard for each of those different inequalities to develop properly because they're just lumped under one umbrella. And I think there needs to be, equality needs to be specific. It should not just fall under one umbrella. That's all I'll say. And as a woman who believes in intersectional feminism, I feel that if it comes to race, you feel like
Anyway, that's a discussion for another time. Equality really shouldn't just be one umbrella, like everything just thrown under it so that people can say, oh, we're dealing with inequality because they're dealing with one aspect of inequality.
Thank you, Shiko. And you talked about alternatives for hormone replacement therapy. And actually, the NHS does have an article on that. And it talks about if you are unable to take hormone replacement therapy or decide you do not want to, you may want to consider alternative ways of controlling your menopausal symptoms. One of them is lifestyle measures, exercise regularly, have a healthy diet, stay cool at night, cut down on caffeine, try to reduce your stress levels, give up smoking, and so on. And then talks about
basically everything. Basically, just stop doing anything.
Yes, and then Shiko,
stop living.
Shiko, listen, there is an alternative called Tibolone, which is a prescription medicine similar to taking a combined HRT treatment, and it's taken as a tablet once a day. And so for people who are in the UK, if you don't want to take HRT, that is estrogen and progesterone, you can take Tibolone, which has the it's similar, and it reduces or rather relieves symptoms such as hot flashes, low mood, and so on and so forth. Tibolone. So that's at least they've given that. And then they also talk about antidepressants and so on. So anyway, please go on the NHS and see what alternatives they do give, because they are out there. And like you say, we don't have to stop living, but Shakira, I can see your hand is up.
Yes, I just wanted to say something about the point that Shiko made earlier. She was saying that she's disappointed that much research done into these things. And I just want to say that society does not care about women when they're out of childbearing age. If you're no longer of any use, as many of these old, I'm going to say because most of the politicians are old white men, they're not going to care. So they're not going to fund anything, like any kind of research, or fund places that do research this, because they don't care. If you're of no use to them and you can't produce any more workers for them to abuse in factories, they don't care about your mental health, your physical health, or anything about you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Shakira, thank you. But that's where, again, I keep talking about what are female politicians doing for other women. They keep telling us to vote for them, but what are they doing? Why aren't they bringing our issues to the front? And I mean, I'm sure there's some who are doing it, but most of them seem more concerned with, getting that, being accepted into those, I don't know what the word is. There's a word for it. Like to be accepted into that fold of peers. Yes, Shakira says to get a seat at the table and to keep it, because if they start, campaigning for women, they might be ostracized, or they might lose their place at the table. I don't know. I just want female politicians to start championing women's causes more than just immigration and whatever. There are other things that women are concerned about. Yeah, okay.
For sure, that's true. So anyway, at least we have learned some new things today, that there can be alternatives, like Nimo said.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Nimo mentioned some what were the herbs, and we have also learned from the NHS there are alternatives and also things we can do. Don't stop living, but be sure to look up this subject and help yourself. Like I'll do that for myself. So thank you for the discussion. And unless somebody has something else to add, we shall stop there. And Shakira, please get us out of it.
Thank you everyone for watching our video. Please subscribe, press the little notifications bell to know when we are posting our next video. Please do also like the video, share it with your friends, post it on social media. I don't know. We really appreciate the support and any comments that people leave, because we do like having these kinds of discussions. Clearly, that's why we have this segment in the first place. But we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.